Good afternoon, all you viewers out there. My name is Cora Matzek. I'm with New View Trust Company. We have a special guest today. We're going to be talking about real estate as an asset class, featuring Youbel Montesino. So we're so excited to have him here today. Get his insight on more in-depth strategies for real estate as an asset class using your self-directed IRA. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Before we actually get into the details of Youbel's presentation, I do want to have a quick disclaimer. New View Trust serves as your custodian for alternative investments. New View Trust does not provide tax, legal, or investment advice, nor do we sell investments. We custody IRAs, ESAs, HSAs, and 401ks that hold alternative investments chosen by the client. So any advice that you are seeking that's unique to your financial situation, I would encourage you to reach out to those parties that know your situation the best. We're just a custodian that holds your funds. And when we mention self-directed IRA, self-direction is just a marketing term. It is an IRA in which the IRA owner directs all investment decisions. So it is the same IRA that you would see nationwide in any other custodian. The self-direction aspect of it, again, to reiterate, is the marketing term. It just allows you to pick and choose which investment opportunity you're looking for. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Youbel, how are you doing today?
Very well, Cora. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with your audience something that I'm very passionate about, which is real estate as an investment class. Because, as you know, I've been in this business for over 20 years now, and working with real estate investors of all sorts. And to me, I think it's the number one asset class that everyone needs to be holding above all else, right?
Yeah.
It gives you the greatest amount of leverage. It gives you the greatest amount of tax benefits. So for me, it's an absolute honor to be talking about real estate as an investment.
Yeah, yes, we're so happy to have you. And it's something I always say. I always think when I think of real estate as holding as an asset class, it's something tangible that you could see, feel, touch. So it just makes it so much real when it's right in front of you. So it's always great to hear about these different strategies.
Absolutely, Cora. Absolutely. And real estate. If you really think about it, real estate is the only asset class that you could buy with other people's money via leveraging a loan, right? You could pay it down with other people's money, right? And your returns are all foreseen in the as soon as you buy it, right? You know exactly what you're going to do with this property before you purchase the property, and you're in control of your asset, right? As opposed to having to really be at the mercy of the CEO of Google and what their decisions and board is doing. You are the decision maker with your asset.
Right, right. These are all great areas to point out. One thing that you did mention as far as the different, you can use someone else's money, you can leverage other people's money. That is actually very true.
Yeah, for me, it's the number one asset class. Can you be diversified in other things, and should you be diversified in other things? I'll leave that up for those other experts to discuss or argue about. But for me, there's one asset class above all else, right? And there's diversity in this asset classes. People automatically think only single family homes, but there's diversity in real estate. There's multifamilies, there's large units, 50 plus, 100 plus. There's storage units, there's commercial land, there's commercial. There's a lot to real estate, and a lot of freedom.
Yes, yes.
So, I'm ready to get going if you are. Oh, and in regards to this class today, I want to talk just a couple of things here. One thing that I am really uh, I really love about real estate is purchasing opportunities, right? And those opportunities, whether they be in single family or commercial, has to do with value add, right?
Mhm, mhm,
And purchasing a property that may need renovations, right? Where we can use a loan of some type or some sort of leverage, or in your case, someone's 401k to purchase the property, add value, and then replace that loan with a permanent loan. So the Burr method here is the buy, rent, refinance, and repeat. I forgot one of the R's there because you want to do this multiple times with the same amount of money, and it allows you to use leverage to not just buy one property or one unit, but multiply the amount of times that you can stretch out your capital, right?
mhm,
And then
mhm.
you're using leverage repeatedly. I also want to talk about kind of what's going on in the marketplace. I'm going to be specifically speaking about Florida because that's my main area. But in the general marketplace, what's going on, and why we're seeing some markets slow down and some markets stay on pace. How we find deals in today's marketplace, how to get into the market, investing into the real estate market, and how to find properties, discounted properties, which we call wholesale homes. And in this case, that is really where you're going to be able to leverage a lot into what you're purchasing, right? Wholesale homes are usually just as the name says, right? You're purchasing these properties below market value directly from a homeowner or directly from another investor that has the ability to have negotiated a better value than what the retail market would be paying.
Yeah.
A lot of these homes do need work, but that's where the opportunity is, right? The ability to add value to the property and then get it get it at a discounted rate. Um, right now, the market is definitely here in Florida, uh, starting to free up again, right? And we are seeing more and more opportunities come into the marketplace, or sellers that are distressed coming out because they need to sell. The Burr method, something that my investors have been using for quite a while now, and we are very meticulous about using this method to uh, extend the amount of properties that we're purchasing. Uh,
Mhm.
typically, when you're purchasing a property, an investment property, the basic the basic train of thought is to find a property on the marketplace and that you can buy with 20% down, that covers the rents, and you put your 20% in, 20-25% in, depending on the type of loan program that you're using. That money then sits there stale, right?
Mhm.
Without you having the ability to uh, leverage that later, right? Well, with the Burr method, we're still coming in with some capital, right, in order to purchase the property or maybe do the renovations to this property, and you are rehabbing the property, basically bringing it back to a financeable condition. If it was, maybe it wasn't in the condition to get financing, that's why I couldn't sell traditionally. We purchased the property, we bring it back to a standard, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Fully rentable. We get a tenant in there. Now we're at a market value of this property. We've typically purchased this property 35-40% under market value minus its repairs, and we've taken it, we've repaired it, we've brought it back up to standard. we've rented it out so we could show our new lender that it is rentable. We are getting market rents for it, and that the new loan will be covered by the market rents, right? And we refinance back out our capital, right? This
Mhm.
this allows us to not only bring the property back up to standards, put a tenant in there that's paying for the asset, right?
Mhm.
It allows us to withdraw our capital again and reemploy it into another transaction, right? So the traditional method would have us parking our money. It's frozen for the next, 20 years or whatever,
Mhm.
however long you're going to keep this rental property,
Right.
or depreciate this rental property, and then it's stuck, right?
Mhm.
You have to start your little piggy bank all over again from dollar one, right? So that you could purchase a second one, right? With this method, we are adding value to the property. We're taking that value, we're refinancing it out so that we can now take that money and reinvest it. And since this is a loan, right? Since this is a loan, this is income or money that we're borrowing against our asset, right? We have certain tax advantages that our investors could take advantage of as well, right? So I know that this isn't a tax class and I'm not an accountant, but in my experience, that is another form of leverage that is very, very valuable to investors, right? So, uh, what are the disadvantages of properties of the Burr method? There isn't any, right? There really isn't any, right? You are sacrificing. Maybe some people would say, "Oh, well, maybe you're sacrificing some cash flow," right? But rather than buying one property, you're buying four,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So now you're not sacrificing cash flow. What you're doing is you are diversifying your portfolio so that you have cash flow from four other properties or three other properties, right? So there is no sacrifice in that, right? You're getting the all the advantages, all the tax advantages of multiple properties rather than one, right? So
Yeah.
that's the Burr method, right? You're buying properties under market value. That's really the key here, is to be able to sort through and buy properties that are either distressed assets or very, very underutilized markets, right? Where you can add this value and bring it up. You're leveraging it multiple times, and your cash on cash returns are going to be higher, right? The amount of money that you have invested. So if you're making $1, right, but you have $0 in it because you've taken everything out and you're building equity, what's that return on investment, right? It's
Right.
it's exponential.
Mhm.
It's no longer 5-10%. It's exponential from there, right? So it's a way, and this is why I love real estate as an asset class, right? You tell me if I could do this with Google stock, right?
Mhm.
Can I do this with Apple? Yeah, like nobody's gonna lend me any money to go buy Apple stock, right?
Yeah, that's valid.
Right. So nobody is gonna actually make my payments on that loan that I bought Apple stock for,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And everybody, this is the best part, Cora. Everybody needs a place to live,
Yes, yes.
right? So for us, it's gold. It's really gold. The market today, right? As you know, the rates of 2% are gone, right? The rates of 2% are gone, and this is why we have to make sense of all of our investments. And this is why I really love working with a company like yours, where people have the ability to use their 401ks and invest in these asset classes, because some you know someone can actually understand real estate and have one of these dead 401ks out there making pennies, right?
Mhm.
In return, and then instead of having to pay, the current interest rate or a bridge loan or anything like that, they could lend to themselves, right?
Right.
They could lend to themselves, and currently rates are 7%, 8%, 9%, depending on what type of investor you are. Even first time home buyers are paying 7%, right, for their primary residence. So rates are really high right now, and instead of paying that to a bank, they could be paying it to their 401k with tax benefits, right? So paying for themselves. I mean, I know a couple of personal clients that have huge 401ks, and they are great candidates to be using those to invest in real estate, right? And I know that I put you in contact with some of them, but they're realizing that you know, they can be making the returns instead of the banks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about that. What you mentioned earlier, it's all about that opportunity. And really, when you see these rates, what's the strategy behind it? How can we get creative? So these are really good points to make.
Yeah, and rates right now 7 to 9%. The inventory is growing. Right, inventory is growing. The buyer pools are shrinking, which makes for a great investor environment, right? When the traditional first time home buyer or move up buyer, or those guys are priced out of the marketplace, that's a great time for investors to be opportunistic investing, right? Buying great opportunities in these distressed properties, or the asset classes that they're creating opportunities in, whether it's multifamily or commercial. But because there is a higher interest rate environment, opportunistic investors are able to capitalize on this. And it's giving way to a lot of creative financing opportunities as well. We're seeing a lot more uh, seller finance deals, right?
Mm-hmm. I've
You
heard of
know,
those.
taking over other people's mortgages is subject to properties, things like that. And those opportunities, right, in combination with the leveraging of your 401k, underperforming 401ks, you could get that into maybe creative financing opportunities. We just wrote a mortgage for an investor, right? And this investor was seeking financing somewhere, and for a short-term project, right? 90-day turnover. And my investors lent out the money for 11%, right? So rather than going through a traditional lending institution where it was going to take a longer period of time to lend, right? This investor was able to make a quick decision, create a financing opportunity for himself, and make 11% returns on this mortgage. So because this interest rate environment, isn't favorable to the majority, right? The educated and the good investors are taking advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and and I don't mean like taking advantage of like I don't want to say like they're taking advantage of the situation, in a negative connotation.
That opportunity.
Right, but there are opportunities that they're able to find and make work for themselves, right? I think it's a great market, right? We're dealing into, we're coming into a market where there's a lot of demand for single family homes. So, those properties are definitely a very well sought out asset class for me. We are doing some very creative things with housing in that single family space. I'll show you an example here of something that we purchased here later. But there's one opportunity that we're doing, one investment strategy that I'm particularly very excited about, and I'm participating in heavily, is co-living. Right, we're purchasing properties, single family
Yes.
homes, and we're turning a typical four bedroom home into a six-bedroom home. Eliminating excess living spaces like your family room and dining room. We're turning those into actual homes, and we're turning these properties into affordable co-living spaces, right? Because the typical one bedroom condo here in the area, it's about $1,500 to $2,000. You're adding uh, electricity, with utilities, such as your internet and things like that. Housing's almost $2,000. We're cutting that almost in half for a shared living space, and we're serving a very large demographic in this sector, providing good, safe, clean, affordable housing for the service industry, really.
Yeah.
And you know, we feel like we're doing a great benefit to the community.
Oh,
Uh,
for sure.
but that's one of the benefits of being flexible with real estate investing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, so the Burr strategy, right? Strategies for analyzing markets suitable for Burr, right? We do need to make sure that we're purchasing these properties, and we're having, after we put repair value in there, right, that we are creating at least 25% value add, right, in order for this strategy to work. So we're negotiating properties under 35%, without the repairs, right? We're making sure that the repairs are factored in there, and this gives us that spread that we need to be able to take out, refinance, and do this over and over again.
Yeah.
And there's definitely strategies that will allow your clients in particular with their 401ks to invest as partnerships with their 401ks and things like that. So it's great. It's a I mean, when you see this in progress, when you see this in action, you will know why I'm so, like, gun ho about
Yeah.
this.
No,
But
we for sure. We have a lot of clients who, they when they're just starting their journeys, they've opened an account. I typically see the account opening aspect of it. But I had a client last week who was like, I don't know what I'll be able to find. And I let this client know there is so much strategy out there. You're actually going to say, I don't know which one to choose.
yeah,
There's so many layers to it. It can be overwhelming, but yeah, these are great opportunities. I've heard of the co-living, that's really popular, especially with like travel nurses,
yeah,
so there's so many aspects to it that it could really cater to almost anyone.
yeah. So again, the real estate market is a huge market. There's a lot of different asset classes, even just within the real estate market. You got single family residentials, you got commercial short-term rentals, right? Something interesting about short-term rentals, right? Short-term rentals have a particular additional leverage for high income earners to own, right, short-term rentals, be managed, self-manage their short-term rentals, and get additional tax benefits at the end of the year, so long
Hmm.
as they qualify, under the real estate investment group, right? Professional real estate investor, right? And all of there's a reason that all of these tax laws and the super rich, right, own real estate, right? Because they're the ones who write all these tax laws, right? So they're going to write these things for their own benefit, right? So using real estate as an asset class, is playing the game, within their own rule set, right? So
The game of chess.
it's a game of chess, right? It's 4D chess, and you're playing with their own rules, right? You're playing with their own pieces. So it's a great it's something else extra, right? So maybe for me, short-term rentals isn't the best asset class, but maybe commercial is, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Maybe holding commercials with triple net leases are, right? So it's just getting to know what you want to do and educating yourself within that space,
Right.
right? Right, and this is going to be, if there's one thing that I could give your viewers as a the best thing, the best piece of advice is whatever you're going to invest in, educate yourself, educate yourself, and then educate yourself.
Yeah.
But and then put that into action, because some people will overeducate themselves and never put it into
And
play,
just sit there. Yeah.
right?
That's very true. I just actually came across a book the other day where they mentioned that there's a lot of people who take the time to invest in educating themselves, but they consume so much time educating that they actually never act on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see it all the time, right? But
Mhm.
I'm, part of one of the networking groups together, and we see people, in meetings after meetings after meetings,
Mhm.
and I stop and talk to a lot of them, and I'm like, so what, so have you bought anything? Oh no, I'm still working on it, and I still want to, get to know a little bit more. Pick an asset class or pick something that really, feels right to you. Get to know it, right? Get to know it. Get to know how to underwrite it, right? Get to know your numbers in it, and go find one,
Mhm.
right? Go
Right.
find one, right? You cannot, people will buy stocks on their Charles Schwab account, right? Without, on a tip from a neighbor, right?
Or social media has, yeah, social
Well,
media.
you know,
Right.
and they have just as much to lose, right, or more, right, because stocks could go to zero, right, but I've never seen a piece of real estate go to zero.
That's very valid, and these are really good points that I love mentioning to people who are kind of on the fence about their self-directed journey. I let them know all the time, if you already have an IRA account set up, you're already doing this to some extent. You are just commonly used to hearing about stocks, bonds, mutual funds. What's different is you actually can open the door to alternative investments. And I mentioned earlier, real estate is tangible. It might feel so much more real to people that it could be intimidating.
Yeah, yeah, and with my experience, I there's if you purchase the property, right, even if you purchased the wrong property with the right principles, you're not going to be in a bad position, right? Finding deals, right? The traditional methods here, right? If you found something with on the MLS with a real estate agent, right? As traditional can be, right? And you purchase this house with 20% down, right? Using your 401k, right? And you put a tenant in there for the next 2 years, right? And the market isn't supporting your rents or whatever, right? Because you may be out a couple $100 a month, right? And then you have to sell the property, and you may be out 1% of your loan investment. And this is, hypothetically speaking, if you came to me with that scenario, I'd just say, okay, let's hold it a little bit longer. Let's see where the market is, right? Let's
Mhm.
get that mortgage paid down a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera. But if you purchased it and you just negotiated a little bit better price, right? Where you can exit this deal in the next 12 months, right? Covering your closing costs, and making sure that the rents cover the mortgage, the incoming rents cover the mortgage. you can't lose,
Mm.
right?
Right.
You really can't lose. So as opposed to, we you buy Apple, right? And their next iPhone tanks, or their Google lenses don't do as well, right? And they have a tremendously horrible, third quarter, right? Sure, you could sell that stock in an hour, but you're going to take that loss, right? You're going to take that loss, and you don't know what their plan is to get themselves out of that hole later, right?
Mm.
You just have to trust that, whoever their CEO is today is going to steer them in the right direction. With real estate, you can put a new tenant in there. You get a bad tenant, put a new tenant in there, right? And you could wait it out, and you could take the losses on your income taxes, right? You can make depreciation, right? You still have a lot of benefits, right? With stocks, right, you don't have the same types of benefits, right? You're in control here. I guess that's what I'm getting at. You're in control, right?
Yes.
uh,
Control.
you're definitely in control. This is what I really love right here, is finding off market deals, right? This is where really the gold is, right? This is where I spend most of my time trying to find deals for myself personally.
Mhm.
Is off market, direct to seller, through other investors, right? Within networking, other investors. Right. I also have, because I am a professional and I do this on a regular basis, I have direct mail pieces and digital marketing out there. I have a digital fingerprint. So, some sellers come to me, as a direct cash buyer, but the typical investor would have to work through somebody that's actually doing this stuff. And there's people out there, there's the wholesalers of the world,
Mhm.
investors that are out there putting properties under contract right now, and they can't buy everything, right? So they're already doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, negotiating these deals, finding these deals, and they're just selling you the opportunity to purchase it instead of them, which I find a lot of great deals through those networks. It's just knowing where to look. Really,
Right.
it's really knowing where to look. But I would say, out of the ways to find deals for real estate investing, MLS has a multitude. A lot of people put, you know. They put a bad name on stuff that's already on the marketplace, right?
Mhm.
But you can negotiate a great deal on a property that's been on the market for a while that maybe can't qualify for insurance, right? And,
Mm.
you have somebody with a 401k, with sufficient funds to make a all cash offer on this property, right? Because they don't have to go through a bank. They could be their own lender, right?
Right.
They could be their own lender on the transaction, pay themselves a an interest rate, right? Pay themselves an interest rate, get this property at a cash price, right? And create an opportunity on a property that's on the market because it doesn't fit everybody's box, right? Not, a lot of the people that are working with real estate agents that aren't very creative will pass up on a lot of these opportunities. Here comes one of your clients with a 401k that they need to put in play. They write themselves their own mortgage, right? They write themselves their own mortgage. They rehab this home, right? They fixed up this home into qualifying lending standards, and then they burr out they refinance out their principal, right? Refunding their 401k and doing it again,
Wow. Nice. Nice information.
right? So there's opportunities out there, even in the most traditional of places, right? Due diligence for this is, cash on cash returns. Like I said, if you only have a dollar, or if you don't have any money in it, and you're getting even only a dollar back, right? It's an infinite return on your money, right? But you got to know what your cap rates are, which is your capitalization rate of the return that you're expecting on your investment. You need to know how to underwrite these deals, what the repair costs are going to be, right? What your vacancies are going to be in the area traditionally. We try to account for the property being vacant at least 10% of the time in the long term of ownership. So there is a little bit of homework, right? That
Hmm.
your clients have to do ahead of time, right? Or partner up with somebody like myself that can help them through that journey.
Right.
But they need to have the right team in place, right? They definitely need to have the right team of advisors, because when you're working with Morgan Stanley or Charles Schwab or whatever, and you're just putting your money in there, you don't even know what's going on through a Vanguard mutual fund or whatever. There's people analyzing these stocks, right? And they're charging you huge fees for this. You're just not seeing it,
Hmm.
right?
That's that's valid.
Right, you're just not seeing it. You're putting your money in a Vanguard stock, right, in a Vanguard mutual fund, and you're not seeing the returns on, or the fees that they're charging you, right? Most people aren't paying attention to the 34% management fee that they're charging you on the gains, right? On the gains, they're passing on losses to you, right? They're only keeping gains, they're passing on losses, right? So it's, why not put yourself in that driver's seat? Know how to be financially literate on an asset class that is so secure,
Right. Right.
right? So that's where I get really passionate about teaching my investors. All of my investors know exactly what's going on with their deals, right? At any level of their financial literacy, I make sure that they know what they're getting into. I know exactly, they know exactly, their returns, and I want to make sure that they're comfortable with the amount of work that it's going to take to get this property, up and going, and then refinanced and et cetera, right? So I believe education really leads to less frustration.
That's true. That's true. And it really is just a matter of taking the time to fully educate yourself to be able to make a sound decision, and having a team of people who have a little bit more extensive knowledge than you is you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, it really is a key component of my business is a team, right? A team of people that I could rely on, whether it's my contractors, whether it's my investors that feed me deals, right? That I can trust. That team, it has a lot of value, right? Outside of the real estate that we buy, the team itself has value. So uh, how we fund our projects, right? Conventional Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loans, right? Those are the industry giants, right? A lot of what we use is private funds, right? To fund our deals. Anybody could write a couple of mortgages, right? For private non-owner occupied homes, right? And we use a product, right? Um, once the property is rehab, right? We use a DSCR loan to refinance the proceeds out of the property, right? Which is a debt coverage based loan. This is exclusively for investors. The only thing it takes into account is the value, and that the property, there is no personal guarantees on this. It's all the property, and what can the property generate as revenue is what is used to qualify the purchase, right? So
Me.
some people are capped out under conventional and Freddie Mac guidelines, because conventional and Freddie Mac guidelines will count your income, right, into the equation of whether or not you could purchase this home, right? The DSCR loan does not take into account your personal income. It only takes into account the income of the property,
Mm,
right?
good
So
to know.
and you could own 100 of these properties, and finance them, right? So long as they're covering their debt ratio is covered by the income of the property, right? And the beautiful self-directed IRA. You could be your own lender, right?
Yes, and you create your own terms, your own, whatever collateral you're wanting to use. If you are lending to someone else, I mean, this is definitely a powerful tool. These are all powerful tools.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get 11% returns on your IRA, right? You're paying yourself 11%. You got to pay somebody, right? You got to pay somebody. You might as well fund your deals with your IRA, right? With your self-directed IRA. Use your self-directed IRA for either gap funding, bring them in as a partner, or you can bring them in as your mortgage lender, right? And you can fund 100% of your purchase, 100% of your rehab, and pay them instead of the lender, right?
Yeah.
So, and another big mistake that I see is the typical investor wants to find their deal and then go out and figure out how to fund it. I suggest to everyone, figure out how to fund it and the deal will follow.
Yeah. It's a
Right.
very
Yeah.
good point and good advice.
Yeah, the deal, because these deals do move quick, right? A good opportunity is not going to sit on the market waiting for you to figure it out, right? You need to have your stuff together, right? So figure out how you're going to, if you're going to be requesting these funds from your IRA, figure that out already, right? Make sure that you know the process of requesting the funds or how to write the mortgage within the IRA, or whatever proper paperwork needs to be done prior to. Make sure you have all of that set up before you go out into the marketplace looking for the deal, because if the deal comes, you're going to miss out.
Yeah. What's the saying? Don't put the cart before the horse.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the horse.
Right, right.
That's definitely the horse, and I see that a lot, right? I see people coming in and they want to purchase. They get all excited, and they don't have any of their their logistics set up, and we end up missing out on a great opportunity because they just weren't ready, right?
Right, right.
So
It's a hard lesson to learn, but I'm sure a lot of people have learned from that mistake. But it's good that you're encouraging and providing that advice for those viewers out there who are sitting on the idea of getting started with this. So you don't want to learn that lesson the hard way.
no, no, but I already learned that lesson for you, so just take my word for it. Just better to learn from other people's mistakes. I'll uh, I'll just let you learn from mine. So, scaling up a property portfolio is just all about having the processes in place, right? Whether you're going to self manage or you're going to leave management up to someone else, figuring out the investment strategy that you're feeling most comfortable with, whether it's short-term rentals. You're gonna build up a portfolio of short-term rentals, or you're going to be investing into commercial assets. You're going to build a commercial asset portfolio. Uh, Starting out, I really suggest concentrating your efforts into one asset class, getting to know that asset class, growing that asset class, and getting your experience in that asset class. There's a $1 million of opportunities in every asset class. No matter which one you pick, just pick the one that you feel most comfortable getting to know. Right? What fascinates you the most, right? If you love, being a host and decorating and dealing with people traveling and et cetera, well, then maybe Airbnb is for you, right?
Hmm.
You have another job or another income, and this is going to be something that you're going to do on the side, and it's fun, it's exciting. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you feel like I do and feel like there's definitely a housing crisis out there, right, for low income, service based, employment uh, occupants, right? That need a affordable housing, right? Maybe co-living is for you, right? And you can scale your business however way you want, or your investments and portfolios. Just get to know the asset class, get to know who's managing it, if you're going to be self-managing, what you're going to be doing, right? And get that really in place before you start moving up into multiple properties, et cetera, et cetera.
Great.
Right. Your team, right? Your team members, we talked about it. Get your funding and get your team, right? You know that if you're going to be using a 401k, you need to know the processes of that. If you're going to be using some, hard money or leverage or however it is, you need to have that in place. Know who's going to be doing some work on your property. Have a general idea of, roofers, general contractors, handymans, etc. Right, so that in the general area of where you're going to be working in, so that you can have an idea, right? Knowing your numbers, definitely. You want to reduce the mistakes that you made, right? Know your numbers, right? And know what a roof costs, know what a kitchen's going to cost you, right? Know what the price per square foot of flooring is, on a very basic level, but you should know what those things are going to be, so that when you're getting into a project, you have an idea. Know what your funding and mortgage and taxes and insurance is going to be, right? Who's going to be your insurance agent, those things. And definitely be ready, right? There's all this preparation is to actually take action, right? And being ready to take action, at a moment's notice. Because I could call you in this afternoon because something came, by my desk, right, or via email, or one of my investors called me and said, "Hey, I got this property here, right? I'm already stretched out with a couple projects. Do you know anybody who's interested in a house here or there?" And I make a few phone calls, and by phone call number 4, it might be already sold. Right?
Mm-hmm. They can go.
So so you have to be ready to jump, because you already know what you're looking for. You know the opportunity is there. So you need to jump on it. You definitely need to jump on it. This is one that we just picked up here. One of my investors. We just got this property. The property was a distressed property, right? Just so you guys can have an idea of what we're looking at, right? For returns and things like that. This property was a home that was in foreclosure, right? Needed, it was a rental, right? The property, the tenant moved out, and it was an absolute disaster inside, right? So when the homeowner came to take a look at the property, he was like, "I am not dealing with this," right? "I am definitely not dealing with this. I'm not in a financial situation to deal with this." The mortgage had already been late because the tenants weren't paying him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and I'm telling you this not to make anybody, cry, right? But I want everybody to think how common this situation is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Homeowner puts his house up for rent. The tenants are paying great for the first year. Maybe they're not the cleanliness. They're not the cleanest. The the homeowner doesn't do regular checks on the home, right? He's more of a hands off kind of guy. They don't bother him. He doesn't bother them, right? They're there for 2 or 3 years, right? They're there for 2 or 3 years. A couple of the people in the house lose their job on year 2,
Mm-hmm.
right? They stop caring about the place. They don't want to make a stir about it. The AC goes out, right? The AC goes out. One of the rooms catches on fire. They just turn it off. They don't say anything. Um, the whole house is just an absolute disaster, right? It's like It's like 2 boxes away from being a hoarder house. And they 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 walk in. He finally gets him out. He's late on his mortgage because he can't afford to keep his own house, and plus the mortgage on the investment house. Right? He's a blue collar homeowner,
Hmm.
and he just can't afford two mortgages at the same time. He falls behind. He's in foreclosure. He comes in. He walks into this house after the tenants finally move out, after being late on their mortgage for the last 12 months, right? They fought him in court, et cetera, et cetera. He finally gets possession back of the house, and the house is a train wreck. In order for him to get this house back in rentable condition, he would have to spend $20,000, $30,000 just to get it back on the market to make 2,400 bucks a month, right? It's financially unfeasible for him, right? So we came in, we gave him a fair cash offer for the property, got him out of foreclosure, right? And we got to work. We purchased this property for $240,000 on the market right now. If we did nothing, other than put it back to financeable state, it's worth about 355 in the open marketplace.
Nice.
Right. So we're already buying this property well under market value. We're putting in about $50,000 to $55,000 worth of repairs into this property. Right. We're converting it from a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath to a 6 bedroom, 2.5 bath. So we may even add an extra bedroom in there. We have the space, but we decided not to do it until we have the others rented out. We're going to be, if we rented this out on a regular monthly lease, right? Our lease payments would be about $2,400 a month, right?
Hmm.
We are actually doubling that by renting it by the room. That's actually, these are the 4,800 is more of a conservative number. Our actual monthly gross is about 5,800.
Nice.
There's expenses to that, right? We have to maintain the lawn, we have to pay for water, we have to pay for electricity, we have to pay for the internet to provide the home. So it's not all net.
Right.
I don't want to give everybody false hopes, but this is much better than renting a 12-month term, right?
Yep.
It's much less work than an Airbnb, right? Because I'm dealing with occupants that are staying on average 10 months, right? On a national average, uh, tenants renting here will stay about 10 months.
Hmm.
So we don't have a constant turnover, right? So for us, it's a very strategic investment purchasing something. And now what we're going to do is we're going to refinance this out. The investor is going to get, out of his original investment of $300,000, he's gonna get about 275,000 out, 275, 280,000, and we're going to reinvest that capital into another property, and we're going to do this again 2 or 3 more times. So
Yeah.
so that's just one property. It was the most recent one that I had. So I wanted to come and share an example
Great.
of what's possible out there, with a little bit of creativity and knowing your asset class.
Right.
So
Right. This is a really good, this is a good visual too for a lot of viewers to be able to see, what are the capabilities and what are the opportunities, what gets you when you're actually putting that knowledge into action. What are some of these things that you can actually um, foresee happening? So
yeah,
these are really great examples.
yeah. If you know what you're doing, or you have the right team by you, this is a very normal thing to find. Right. There's a lot more of these opportunities out there for other folks.
Yes. So this is great. This is really in depth on what you can do with different strategies, more specifically involved in real estate. If you do want to learn more about how you can get started utilizing your self-directed IRA, scan this QR code. You'll speak to one of the IRA specialists. We'll get your funds moved over, and you'll be able to be on your way to make your first investment. If you haven't heard, we have a large expo coming up this October 17th and 18th. AltCon. If you want to know more information about different asset classes, I encourage you to scan this QR code, check us out, register. Spots are filling up really quick. Our keynote speaker is David Green, co-host of Bigger Pockets. Again, you can find out more in-depth information on what AltCon is all about. If you liked this live class recording, hearing about real estate, imagine what you'll be able to hear at AltCon with the different strategies. And stay up to date with our social media. So scanning this QR code links you to all of our social media aspects. Stay in the know with NewView. And Youbel, if we have clients that are reaching out, how can we get in touch with you?
Just go to bluerealtor.com. All my information would be on there. Very easy to find. You just type in my first name and I'll pop up in most of the searches. So
great. Well, thank you so much for bringing your area of expertise to us. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
thank you very much, Cora. It was a great pleasure being here with you.